Stretch. It's a dig. Hit is far. She is gone.
I don't believe what I just saw.
You're locked into the Hot Stove Cast. Here is the Hot Stove host.
Star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
No, that was not the Hot Stove host. That was Stephen Brault, left-handed reliever of the Pittsburgh Pirates, absolutely nailing the national anthem at PNC Park this past week. Thank you, Stephen, for that amazing open to the show. Yes, this is the Hot Stove Cast. I'm the Hot Stove host, Zach Simon. It's episode 104, the fourth episode of the first season. Thank you so much for joining me. I have some fantastic interviews coming up in this episode. Tyler Gilbert, left-handed reliever for the Reading AA Phillies, has 11 strikeouts in his last 6.2 innings. Really fun interview with him. I actually wound up rapping with him, something I never would have possibly imagined, but here I am doing something like that. Also, in this episode, Michael Ventola, play-by-play voice for those Reading Phillies, joins the show and offers fantastic, one-of-a-kind insight into the Reading Phillies, whether it's the players, the fan experience, the culture, just the experience of First Energy Stadium. Really can't miss stuff. We've got a lot of the usual suspects and a couple more brand new segments coming up in the show, but I will, of course, get to those. But as you know, I always lead things off with Wild Pitch.
Just a bit outside.
Killing me, Smalls.
So in Seattle, they have these things called chapulines. I guess that's how they're pronounced. It's the second year they're being sold. They're grasshoppers. Yes, they sell grasshoppers in Seattle. West Coast, people do things different out there. Good for them. Last season, in the inaugural season for grasshoppers in Seattle at Safeco Park Stadium, the Mariners sold 25,000 orders. $4 per order. They had 40 insects per order, so you do the math. They sold in excess of 1 million grasshoppers in Seattle. They're pre-packed, imported from Mexico, pre-packed, vacuum sealed, and then they get to the stadium. They add some chili lime seasoning and heat them up. I would try them. I don't know if I'd like them. I don't hear the greatest reviews. I probably wouldn't like them, but I'd give them a shot. I mentioned this because Garen Austin, field reporter for Nesson, the Red Sox broadcast, I was watching on MLB Network. She got her hands on him, and she brought him up to the booth with Don Ursilio and Jerry Remy, and, the rest speaks for itself.
Okay. Jerry gonna try it?
I'll try it.
You really?
Yeah, it's like a small grasshopper.
You're regretting it. Yeah.
That's a nice tip.
I'm going off camera for a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, is that spicy?
Well,
I'm starting to beat up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jerry, you don't look good.
No, I don't feel good either. Let me tell you something. The aftertaste is worse than the real taste. Right now, I need coffee.
Jerry, you're a brave man. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
And Garen, thanks for bringing those up.
Yeah, I wanted to share.
Really appreciate your thoughtfulness there.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, is that awful? Oh, that's terrible.
Jerry, keep working that coffee.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, horrible. You wouldn't believe the aftertaste.
Oh,
It's just.
I saw the look on your face. I was like,
my God.
And you weren't joking. I know when you're joking, and you weren't kidding around.
No, that's the last time that's going to happen. But now, as I sit here right now, and I continue to think about it,
and continue to sweat.
I was absolutely crazy to have that. What were they?
They were grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers. I'm telling you, I'm sweating. I'm beating up.
You definitely look redder than you did about a half hour ago.
And I've got to stop thinking about it, because if I don't, I'm not going to make this game. And I was thinking of taking like a scoop of them.
Oh, I'm so glad you didn't do that.
Jerry Remy, absolutely adored in Red Sox lore and nationally for that matter. That guy is fantastic. The stuff he does to keep you entertained. He literally went on about those grasshoppers for not just that game, but the entire next game, and I'm sure he brought it up for the rest of the next series. I'm pretty sure he had another one the next game too. He was trying to ensure a Red Sox victory. Remy did, however, apologize many times in that broadcast for bashing the Seattle delicacy, although I'm sure the people in Seattle would understand. On a more positive note, at the stadium, I talked about the delicacies they have there. They have a $20 lobster roll. Oh, by the way, I think lobster is the best food, period. But lobster roll made with claw meat and garlic celery aioli on a King's Hawaiian roll. And oh my goodness, I'm hungry right now. But from West Coast delicacies to food on the East Coast, flying food, that is. Every stadium has a hot dog cannon. Some stadiums have a Gatling gun. Some people just have a slingshot. People throwing it. Everybody's got their own twist on it. Well, there's Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies stadium. They have a Philly fanatic mascot, as everyone knows, on an ATV riding around with a cannon shaped like a hot dog. So he fired this hot dog, and it literally sent a woman to the emergency room because it hit her in the face. And I'll post this on my social media, but you have to see this woman's face. She has a black eye. She could have stumbled and hit her head on the railing, and it would have had the same exact look. I can't believe a hot dog did this kind of damage to somebody. But courtesy of NBC 10 Philadelphia, I plucked the audio from this woman, shared about her experience, and you just have to listen.
At least, it's funny. It's a story I can tell people, but my only thing is just to warn people just to be careful, because you would think you would get hit by a baseball instead of a flying hot dog.
Moving on to the College World Series, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm sure you've heard this already, and if you haven't, oh gosh, you need to. Some of the most spectacular audio you'll ever hear about how a guy got tickets to go to the College World Series. Really just mind-boggling. I don't even know where to begin. I have so many questions.
Series game. The sacrifices that we personally made to be here are incredible. My wife's boyfriend sold his prosthetic leg on Craigslist to afford me the opportunity to be here, but they get alone time, and I get a chance to be in Omaha.
What? The first time I heard that, I thought the guy said, my wife sold her prosthetic leg to send me to Omaha, which is so ridiculous in its own right. When you hear it a second time, he obviously said, my wife's boyfriend sold his prosthetic leg. That must be some kind of incredible relationship they got going on there. Obviously, they get some alone time. They're not married. Polygamy, question mark. There's so many questions I have, but regardless of all the questions I have, it makes for a quote of the year. And I'm curious, I wish I could phrase this and frame it so you could say what you'd give up your prosthetic leg to send your friend to go do something with. But are you ever going to have that situation? It's very questionable. I don't know anybody that would. Obviously, this guy does. I'm sure there are other people out there who would. I'm not passing judgment, but that really is something. Moving on here in Wild Pitch, Jose Canseco tweeted, and this is always good. Quote, "Hey, little buddy, at Real Donald Trump, let me start over. Hey, little buddy, at Real Donald Trump, I'm ready to be a Starfleet commander in the Space Force, period. DM me, hashtag Canseconaut," end quote. Well, only one of those two men is a cosmonaut. Anyway, moving on here to a Brewers hurler who, yes, puked at the stadium, and I've got audio for you right here.
I don't think he's feeling too well.
I don't think he's feeling good at all. Uh-oh.
What's amazing about Adrian Hauser's feat is that after he puked the first time, he collected himself, allowed a double, forced a ground out, and then puked again. So in the interim, you got to give this guy credit. I mean, in the interim of all this, he just pulled off virtually the impossible. So good for that guy. I can't imagine that I've ever puked in competition before. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Nope. Anyway, moving on here. Brandon Morrow, Chicago Cubs reliever, hits the 10-day DL. Why? bending over to take off his pants. He has back spasms. Yeah, so he's on the DL, Brandon Morrow. On the 19th of June, Hunter Strickland on a similar weird injury front. And by the way, I could probably do an entire segment at minimum. I could probably do half of a show on bizarre injuries throughout history. But that's not what I'm here to do, at least for the entire show. We'll indulge a little bit, though, folks. Hunter Strickland, on a bit of a lower note, punched a door coming out of the game the other night. Fractured his pitching hand, is having surgery. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. Fortunately, fractures will heal up nice, usually 99 times out of 100, so he should be fine. But, I mean, come on, dude. Really? That's how you're going to do it? Anyway, Wade Boggs, speaking of those injuries I was talking about, Wade Boggs, he missed a week after straining his back while trying to pull on his cowboy boots. I mean, that's a man who apparently, according to Charlie Day of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, drank 107 beers on a cross-country flight. So good for that guy. Good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Anyway, you never really know what you're going to get on Wild Pitch. Particularly flying hot dogs. But speaking of hot dogs, Big Sexy. Yes, Bartolo Colon leads off this edition of Painting the Corners.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out.
20 strikeouts for Kerry Wood.
Bartolo Colon. Yes, Bartolo Colon recently broke Juan Marichaul's record for the most wins all time by a Dominican pitcher. 244 wins is the new record. Yes, Bartolo Colon breaks Marichaul's record of 243 wins by a Dominican starting pitcher. Great for him. People, let's take a step back and appreciate that Bartolo Colon is 45 years young. He's throwing 90-mile-an-hour bullets, okay? He's still throwing in the 90s. I'm really struggling to comprehend how that's even a thing, but it is. So, I mean, good Lord. Wow. I mean, he's probably a Hall of Famer. Longevity is important. If he didn't win that Cy Young, I wouldn't say he would be, but he did, and he had an amazing season. I'm not a big wins guy, frankly, but if you're going to pitch that long and this well, that certainly helps. This isn't the Bartolo Colon Hall of Fame episode, though, so let's move on. Wow. Bartolo Colon, by the way, is in the top 100 career earnings in baseball. He's made $117 million just in pitching contracts. I don't know how many endorsements Bartolo has. I bet she's had a few. But hey, wow, $117 million. Goodness. I mean, at that point, you just have to say to yourself, why? Why would you even pitch at 45? I mean, health, I guess I would too. But wow. Moving on here and painting the corners. Derek Rodriguez, I may have mentioned this on a previous episode, but it's a pretty cool story. Derek Rodriguez, his dad is Ivan Rodriguez, who you all know as Pudge Rodriguez. Derek Rodriguez is pitching for the Giants, okay? He's actually pitching relatively well. He's got an ERA in the 4s. He just was called up. I think he's fewer than 30 innings as a starter, so good for him. But imagine being Ivan Rodriguez, okay? You may get $122 million in your career, and you're pretty much the best catcher of the past 50 years. Piazza was certainly better offensively, but Pudge was the better all-around package. And you get to now watch your son pitch for the San Francisco Giants, travel in the country, and the San Francisco Giants of all places, you get to travel with that. I mean, it's quite the life. Moving along here on Hot Stove Cast, episode 104, I'm going to take a quick 1-minute break, but on the other side, my interview with Reading Phillies AA pitcher Tyler Gilbert. You're not going to want to miss it. Really fantastic stuff. A quick trivia question. Which Major League pitcher leads the majors in curveballs? Back on the other side right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now.
There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
That's not far.
What are we gonna do? Hike?
Sure.
Are we there yet?
Yep, it's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org, brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
This is Kyle McGowan, and you're listening to the Hot Stove Cast with Zach Simon.
Yep. Welcome back to Hot Stove Cast, episode 104. Thank you so much for listening. Before that quick break, I asked you a trivia question. Which Major League starter leads the league in curveballs? Well, if you really think about it really hard. And I'll give you a hint, okay, in case you didn't Google it already. Think postseason last year. I'll even give you a stronger hint. World Series champion. Okay, that pretty much gives it away. Lance McCullers leads the league in curveball percentage with a whopping 44.1% curveballs thrown. That's insane. But hey, that's what makes a champion. I believe he threw 27 consecutive curveballs, basically to perfection. I don't want to say it was perfect innings, but basically executed flawlessly in the World Series. Wow. Hey man, that's what the best can do. Can you imagine throwing 20? Like I pitch sometimes. Like I pitch at softball. It's nothing. But you imagine if you throw three. I believe if you throw the same pitch 3 times in a row, they're gonna hit it. But he's so good and his pitch is so dominant. He can just do that 27 consecutive times. And I don't know if that's ever been done before. Really, just an outstanding feat. But anyway, I'm dawdling along here. My interview with Tyler Gilbert, Reading Phillies reliever. This guy is electric stuff. Recently introduced a cutter that he said is really helping up his game. He's taken it to another level. His strikeout rate is very high. You can listen to my interview with Tyler Gilbert right here. Joining the Hot Stove Cast is a 22-year-old out of Santa Cruz, California, drafted 9th in the 6th round of the 2015 MLB Draft. Reading Phillies reliever number 22, Tyler Gilbert, is kind enough to join the show. Tyler, thanks so much for a few minutes of your time. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate having you, Tyler. Let's get to the basics real fast. You got a 4-seam, 2-seam, split finger, changeup, and curveball. Have you altered that mix?
Yeah, I've added a cutter into the mix that I've been using a lot, so that's been helping me a bunch.
Yeah. So what's your strongest pitch?
It depends on the day, but my fastball is my best pitch no matter what. I have really good command with it, and I'm starting to mix in this cutter a lot too, which has been helping me this whole year. So,
all right, Tyler, bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. You're up 6-3, 3-2 count. What are you throwing?
It depends on the batter. If it's a lefty, I'm probably throwing a cutter. If it's a righty, I'm probably going in with a fastball.
Noted. Okay. Yeah. All right, Tyler, you're humming right now. You got a 15% swing and strike rate. You got an 11.28 K through 9, 3.42 ERA. What's clicking for you right now?
Well, besides my last outing, I kind of had a rough one. I gave up a 3-run home run. That put me in a little bit of a mind funk, but I'm getting over that now. And I've been doing good. I've been trying to throw strikes, keep my walks down. I really try not to walk anyone. That's a big aspect of my pitching. But I've just been mixing pitches here and there, and I learned if you hang it, they bang it. So I gotta sometimes one pitch can determine your whole day, and that's what happened to me a few days ago. So just trying to learn off that what happened and just build and go from there.
It's really remarkable how that works. One pitch could just determine an entire day. You mentioned walks earlier. Your walks have increased just slightly since you've been called up to AA. What are you trying to do to improve?
Well, I'm trying to command all my pitches, and rely on my fastball, because I know I can put my fastball wherever I want in any count. I think sometimes I lose a little bit of focus, and walks do happen here and there, but I'm just trying to limit those as best as I can.
You kind of hinted at earlier, but tell me about your mentality when you're on the mound.
This year I've been very relaxed. I try not to get too worked up, because I think I get out of my groove when I'm too excited or too amped up on the mound. I've been trying to really just slow my breathing down up there and be very relaxed, and that's helping me a lot.
Okay, switch gears just slightly. What players do you look up to currently, and are there players whose games you try to emulate?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked the way Cole Hamels threw, and he's still throwing. I like Clayton Kershaw, who doesn't enjoy watching him throw. Those two, when C.J. Wilson was playing, I always watched him. It's a bunch of good lefties.
Now, do you try to emulate any of their games, or?
I mean, if I can in any way, yes. I just like their mentalities up there. It's pretty exciting to watch them, and I try and do the same thing.
All right, we're talking with Tyler Gilbert of the AA Reading Phillies. He's a reliever. You're a Cali guy, Tyler. Tell me how you're acclimating to the East.
Yeah, I've been out here. I mean, I spent a summer in Williamsport and then a whole summer in Lakewood, New Jersey. So I've been getting used to it. At first we had a lot of snow in California. I've never played a baseball game in the snow, so that was kind of cool to experience that. But the weather's warming up right now. It's great. I love it.
What do you miss most about home?
What I miss most about home, probably the beaches. Got to be honest, and surfing. Yeah. Yeah,
I read you were a big surfer. I mean, tough to argue with that. I read that your father is your biggest sports hero because, quote, he showed me my love for baseball, end quote. Was there a specific moment when you realized you loved baseball?
I don't know. It's hard to narrow that down to one moment, but the day that I got a scholarship to USC, that was the best moment, of my life so far. Then getting drafted was took control of that. That was the best moment. So it's been fun so far. I've been enjoying every part of it.
Describe the moment you got drafted. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I want to hear it. Tell me the moment you got drafted.
Well, it was unforgettable, that's for sure. Got pretty emotional with my parents, because it's been a dream of mine ever since I've been playing T-ball. So pretty surreal. It's hard to put in words what I felt, but it was something I'll never forget.
You have any Father's Day plans? Father's Day is coming up now. Granted, this interview is, this is airing on the 21st. We're talking before Father's Day.
Father's Day plans? No, my dad came out. My parents came out a few weeks ago. They're not coming out this the home stretch, but I'll give my dad a call. It's my mom's birthday the same day, so I'm gonna have to share equal love to both of them that day with the phone.
Working overtime there, Tyler. Talking with Tyler Gilbert, AA reliever of the Philadelphia Phillies. You were a business major at USC your junior year when you went there. If you weren't playing baseball, what do you think you'd be doing?
Getting my degree. Trying to finish that up. I haven't gone back yet just because the season is going, the season goes too late for me to go back during the fall. And if I wasn't playing baseball right now, I'd be getting that degree, and who knows from there? I really don't know.
You have any business ideas, any entrepreneurship? You want to start a company? Any ideas?
Nothing too, I don't really know yet. I do like the music industry. I like playing music, and I like the entertainment industry. LA was pretty cool, so I don't really know. I do like California. I like Southern California a lot, so there's a lot of opportunity down there.
What's not to like? Like you said earlier, I understand you're a surfer, you're also a skater, and you like to make music in your free time. What kind of music do you make?
I can play the piano pretty well. I make anywhere from like pop to hip hop to rap beats. They're I like to think they're okay, but a lot of my buddies think they're pretty bad. No, we mess around. A lot of the guys will rap on them too in the clubhouse. We got a few songs out, so it's a fun time.
I heard you drop some fire already, fire that actually brings the Latinos and Americans together. Would you want to share that with the podcast?
That song's in the vault. We're waiting to release it to the public. But it's always great when you can get the Latinos and the white guys together and rap and make music together, because it's kind of fun to bring each other together off the field.
Can you drop a beat for me right now? I'm gonna try.
You want to try and rap?
Yeah, let's try to rap. All right. Here with Tyler Gilbert of the Reading Phillies. Hold on.
I lost my breath.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna do it. Here with Tyler Gilbert of the Reading Phillies. He ain't no run of the millie. Off social media, he's wearing that ghillie. Fighting Phils, they keep it chilly.
There you go.
And why I always gotta rhyme? I ain't got time. What up, Meek Millie?
I like it. That was good. That was really good. Maybe we should get you on a track soon.
Yeah, who knows? You know where to find me. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. I read that Happy Gilmore, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome. Happy Gilmore is your favorite movie. Do you have a favorite quote from that movie?
Why don't you just let me put the ball in the hole? I like that one when he's talking with Chubbs. There's so many good quotes. I mean, that whole movie's full of good quotes. Happy Gilmore, I mean, Adam Sandler is my favorite actor, so I enjoy every part of that movie.
That's a fantastic movie. I'm proud to say you did not eat poop on that question.
Yeah, no, I know. That was a good one. That's a good one, too.
Okay, anyway, you spent a lot of time in L.A., obviously, we talked about this. And you have any celebrity encounters in L.A.?
No. No, people have asked me that, too, in L.A. I haven't ran into really any celebrities down there. It's kind of, I'd be cool too, but I haven't really, to be honest, nothing that I can remember that stands out.
Okay. This is kind of a loaded question, but I think you're ready for it. If you could star in any movie, what role would you choose?
Probably a supporting actor. I don't want to be the main guy. I want to be a supporting actor if I could. So I'm not not all the pressure's on me, but I'm still playing a solid role. So I think I'd be the best supporting actor if I could. Action,
drama, comedy. What are you thinking?
I would like to go a mix between action and drama. Get pretty serious, but also, I think action or drama would be a fun genre to pick.
All right. There's not a lot of action in 8 Mile, but could you see yourself in an 8 Mile possibly?
An 8 Mile, I don't know if I could picture myself in that. Maybe, you never know. I could maybe, well, I don't know. That's not really my type. I like that movie, but I don't think I could picture myself in it, to be honest.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, so wrapping up here with Tyler Gilbert of the Reading AA Philadelphia Phillies. Speaking of Hollywood, USC baseball. Obviously, you're a graduate, or you were selected out of USC. You got guys like Mark McGuire, Tom Seaver, Fred Lynn, Dave Kingman, Pryor, Zito, Brett and Aaron Boone, even Brad Boxberger. What does it mean to you to come from a baseball program with that pedigree?
It's pretty cool to be I was really excited to go to that school just with, the track record that you just named and, the way they take care of their guys and just a good program. It's pretty cool. I'm super excited that I was able to go there and, hopefully get a degree someday from there because I know it's a valuable degree from that school, great private school. So it means a lot to me, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Tyler Gilbert, Philadelphia Phillies AA reliever. Thank you so much for joining the show.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the lefty from California, Tyler Gilbert, for his time. That was a real treat. Looking forward to talking with him again. Maybe we'll make some beats, make some raps in the future. I never really would have imagined that I'd be rapping with a Phillies prospect, but things have a weird way of playing out. I'm just going to go with the flow. I got to give Meek Mill that shout out, though. One quick thing on Tyler Gilbert before I move on. He said something I want to reiterate. He said, quote, I really try not to walk anyone. That's a big aspect of my pitching, end quote. That's pretty much how you do it, folks. If you can not walk anybody, you're going to succeed. So good for him. We shall see. But he's crushing it right now. That cutter from a lefty to a righty. I mean, what is it? 70% of Major League Baseball hitters are right-handed. So you got that inside action with the cutter to a righty. Oh man, hey, that's the kind of guy who can pitch to both kinds of hitters. So watch out for Tyler Gilbert. Moving on here, one of my favorite segments of the show, the Eighth Wonder, is when I talk about upcoming promotions and such. You need to listen to this if you want to make a trek to a minor league park this week.
I'm just about that action, boss.
Having the time of his life.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Yep. Eighth Wonder time. I mentioned this on my Twitter like 500 times. It on the 23rd, that's tomorrow at Reading, Jalen Mills, Super Bowl champion cornerback. Oh, that feels so good to say. I'm an Eagles fan. Yeah, whatever. Super Bowl winning cornerback Jalen Mills is having a charity softball game benefiting the National Youth Foundation. Guests include Jason Peters, Tyron Matthew, Alshon Jeffrey, Leonard Fournette, LeGarrette Blount, Mike Wallace, Jamal Adams, Brandon Graham, Corey Clement, DJ Killings, Bryce Treggs, Terrence Brooks, Drew Rosenhaus will make an appearance, Monet Davis, Notorious B.O.B., former guest of the show, and others will be there noontime Saturday. Get on out there, take in a Reading Phillies special event. You will not be sorry. Other events happening around the area in minor league baseball. Monday, June 25th, the Big Into Rumble Ponies host the Thunder, and there's a player pregame autograph session. You could maybe get Tim Tebow's autograph the 25th. That takes place every Monday, game day, from 5:40 to 6 p.m. Tuesday, the 26th, the Blue Rocks in Wilmington have a Tito's Tuesday featuring a Yappy Hour where a special Tito's beverage is served. Thursdays at the Blue Rocks, it's Beer 30, as I've talked about on the show. $3 Dogfish Head IPAs. Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff. June 29th, Friday at the Blue Rocks. This is a can't-miss event, people. If you are in the area, get on out there. Cowboy Monkey Rodeo and fireworks. Oh, my goodness. Cowboy Monkey Rodeo. You kidding me? It's like the best event in minor league baseball, period, if you ask me. In case you don't know, there are dogs with monkeys on their backs, and the monkeys ride the dogs and herd goats into a pen. Or sheep or goats, doesn't matter. It's one of the coolest things you'll ever see in your entire life. Okay, you have to go see it. I wish that were an exaggeration, but it's not. I'm not doing it for effect. I'm serious. Go see the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo. Also on June 29th, if you haven't been in the Harrisburg area, it's Star Wars night. They have special Star Wars jerseys. The first 1,000 fans over 13 get a free travel mug, and there's post-game fireworks. And oh, by the way, Sunday, July 1st at Harrisburg, it's the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo. So if you're a diehard Cowboy Monkey Rodeo fan like me, maybe you'll go to it 2 times in one weekend. The fact that I even gave thought to that says how much I care about that event. Although I will say I will not be going twice in one weekend. Got to make this show happen, people. It doesn't grow overnight. Anyway, bringing it back. July 1st, there's a Sandlot tribute Sunday at the Reading Phillies. They're going to wear Sandlot-style jerseys, and the first 2,000 kids will get a Sandlot-style extended bill hat. And there's a post-game fireworks, a post-game showing of the Sandlot. July 2nd, okay, at the Reading Phillies. There will be a Philly Fanatic tribute. He'll be in attendance. The team will be wearing fantastic Fanatic jerseys. They're really cool, actually. Go check them out. And they'll top it off with the biggest fireworks display Reading has ever seen. You're not going to want to miss it. So, yeah. And, again, just want to clarify this one more time. For the interview I'm about to air with play-by-play broadcaster of the Reading Phillies, Michael Ventola. The Jalen Mills charity softball game is tomorrow, not 2 days from now. It's tomorrow at noon in Reading. So you still have time to get tickets. Get on out there and experience Reading for yourself. I'll talk more about Reading, First Energy Stadium, and more on the other side. Joining the Hot Stove Cast is the play-by-play voice of NJIT, Lafayette, Lehigh, Albright, and the Reading Fightin' Phils, the AA affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies. You can find him at Venting Daily on Twitter. Mike Ventola is kind enough to join the show. Mike, how you doing? Thanks for a few minutes of your time.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you, Mike. Let's dive into the players. Which players, Reading Phillies, do you think could help the Fightin' Phils propel themselves to an Eastern League championship?
You know, right now I think we have a good group of guys. I know they haven't won as many games as they would have hoped here this season, but, you know, I look up and down. I think Derek Hall is a nice added boost to this lineup, a guy with plenty of home run power. He currently, at the time of his promotion, he was leading the Florida State League with 11 home runs. And, you know, with Reading kind of being more of a hitter-friendly ballpark, I'm excited to see him as he plays here more and more, for him to certainly add to his already 2 home runs that he's hit here as a member of the Fightin' Phils. You know, I look around the diamond as well, too. Catcher Davey Guerrione has been a nice added piece to the lineup. He's done a nice job hitting the baseball. He and his backup, Austin Bosart, it's a nice catching combination. So I think those guys can really help Derek Hall in that aspect. And one guy too is Yan Hernandez. Yan Hernandez has been the model of consistency since opening day. He's hit over 300. He's currently 7th in the Eastern League in hitting right now. His 7 home runs that I'm sure that total will continue to climb up. So, but from a position player standpoint, I think those are the guys right there. And then look at the pitching. JoJo Romero and Ranger Suarez have been 2 very good left-handed starters, guys that have gotten better as the season's gone along. Harold Aruz has been, a guy that does not have maybe the best stuff in the rotation, but he goes out there 5-6 innings every time. He battles. He may give up 3 or 4 runs every time, but he battles and really gives the guys in the dugout a chance to say, hey, you know what? He goes out there and battles every time. Why not go out there and support him? So, and now look at the bullpen. Edgar Garcia, I'm so impressed with him. 21 years old. I think he's going to be in AAA at some point this season. Tyler Gilbert's a nice left-handed option that I really like. He had been a starter. He's come in. He's been very effective. So, I've kind of said a lot of guys, but I want to make sure I hit every aspect of the diamond, not just one specific area.
Great. Ranger Suarez, Derek Hall, Tyler Gilbert, 3 guys, especially Suarez. I really like his profile as a pitcher. I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do. I appreciate the insight. Let's switch gears just slightly, talk about promotions here at First Energy Stadium. In 2 days, you've got the Jalen Mills charity softball game. You've got Ryan Howard's Baseball Town Hall of Fame celebration on August 14th. What promotions should fans look forward to, Mike?
Well, you already mentioned 2 of them. I mean, the Jalen Mills charity softball game on Saturday, June 23rd. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a big extra event for us. It's a chance to, for fans here in Berks County that, have followed the Philadelphia Eagles for whether it's one season or their entire lives, to see many of the members of the Super Bowl champions come out here and participate in a fun softball game, that's also going to help promote the National Youth Foundation as well, and, providing those kids that are trying to better themselves, and I think it's really an outstanding opportunity. So you mentioned about Ryan Howard getting inducted into the Baseball Town Hall of Fame later in August. That night speaks for itself. Ryan Howard was one of the best players ever to put on a Phillies uniform, and you think about how many home runs he hit and how productive he was, and was a big part of that 2008 World Series championship Philadelphia team. He did big things when he was here in Reading. He hit 37 home runs, and he still had a full yet month to play here in Reading back in 2004 before he got promoted up. So, I think it'll be a great night for him as well. And, I look at some of the other nights, some of our Harry Potter nights in August, where the players wear Harry Potter jerseys. Harry Potter's been a big fascination amongst not only myself but other, fans throughout the country, and you think of how awesome those movies were. Our Star Wars nights is too. Star Wars have been some big time movies. I know that Han Solo movie just came out, so we're doing 2 straight nights of Star Wars night. We're even giving away a Master Hoskins.
2 straight nights.
2 straight nights. Yes, 2 straight nights. We're even giving away a Master Hoskins bobblehead. So Reese Hoskins bobblehead. He's dressed like a Jedi. It's really cool. So. Not only that, but we have our other theme nights, our Stars and Stripes, around the 4th of July. Players will be wearing their Stars and Stripes jerseys. And, the big night here in Reading, it's part of the last homestand on Island with us, is the Harley Davidson night. So, on that last Saturday at the end of August. Apologize, the date is slipping my mind, but when we have there's a big motorcycle contingent here in Reading, and for fans who have motorcycles, they ride them around the warning track before the game, and players wear classic Harley Davidson style jerseys. It's really neat. So I'm not a big motorcycle guy, but having seen it, this will be my 5th season here in Reading. It's one of my favorite nights of the year because this place gets packed.
It's really amazing how the Reading Phillies take care of their fans. Those are just some incredible promotions. And it's no surprise that these fans just want to flock out here. I mean, First Energy Stadium Reading is kind of a baseball mecca of sorts. Last season and the season before, the Reading Phillies averaged over 6,000 fans per game. In the last 20 seasons, they've averaged over 400,000 fans 19 times. Just incredible numbers. By the way, those 6,000 plus the past 2 years leads the Eastern League. Let's talk a little bit more about the stadium, Mike. What's your favorite food in the stadium?
I love the churger. Gotta love the churger. It's been a staple here in Reading for a number of years, and not only along with the churger, but I got to be honest with you. And I'm not saying because I would be paid to say this, but I literally think we have the best fries I've ever had. Our French fries are fantastic. I don't know what it is they do downstairs, but our French fries are to die for. Literally to die for. So for fans who want to come out and get a good tasty meal, the Churger's outstanding. But get fries. Our French fries are really, really cool, and they're awesome.
What's on the Churger?
It's got a chicken. It's got some chicken with a burger mixed in, and then obviously you can put your whatever types of sauces you want, pickles and things of that nature. So it's a big sandwich, and it's really good.
Oh, I'm there. Oh my goodness. Okay. So yeah, come on down to First Energy Stadium, get your hands on a Churger, you won't regret it. Let's switch gears just a little bit. I mentioned how the fans love to come out to the ballpark. Michael, when I say Reading Fighting Phillies traditions, what comes to mind?
Where do I begin? I mean, when I think of the guy, the players on the field and just how they walk out of their clubhouse and they have to walk on the concourse before they get to the dugout. So I think that great fan interaction, which has been going on even when Mike Schmidt played here in 1971, and even before that, I think that it's an awesome tradition because it allows the fans to really get that interaction with the ball players. You look at the crazy hot dog vendor, and after the top of the second inning, people go nuts. Even myself, I've gotten involved with the crazy hot dog vendor. I try to catch hot dogs in a fishing net every now and then. So, those are some of the traditions. I think we do an outstanding job in recognizing our veterans and those who have fought overseas, defending our freedom and our way of life. I think the 761 ceremonial flag honoree each game is something that is near and dear to many of our hearts. It's so special because this stadium was built as a memorial for veterans. For those who, because Berks County sent a lot of men and women overseas, in some of the in the wars and the conflicts over the years, and out front. We have a dedicated area with dog tags, and we take homage in making sure that a veteran gets recognized before the game, and things of that nature. So I really think what we do with our veterans and our military people, it's second to none as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of ballparks do a great job with it, but I just think what we do for our men and women in uniform is awesome too. And you talked about the food, the cheeseburger dog out in left field has been, a big tradition for a number of years. And
talking my language.
I was about to say, can't ever have enough food. But you know what though too, Zach, is the people. The ushers that have been here for 20, 30 years, for the concession workers that have been here for such a long time. I look at guys like Adam Briscoe that come in here and do the Briscoe Disco. I just think the people have made it why this place is so much fun and why this has been a great tradition coming out to games here at First Energy Stadium for such a long time.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was going to mention it after the interview, but I'll mention it now. There's something about, and you just touched on it so well, there's something about this stadium, the people who come here. At some minor league parks, you see people who are like, some of them might get dragged here and they don't necessarily want to be here. Maybe they want to be here do it for the kids. No, I feel like every single person who comes to this ballpark really wants to be here. Everybody's got a smile on their face. There's such a great positive energy amongst everybody here. Wrapping up with Michael Ventola, play-by-play voice of the Reading AA Fighting Phillies. So many amazing initiatives. There's the Baseball Town Charities. If you wouldn't mind just touching on that real fast. We've got the Dream League for Disabled Children, and we've also got RBI Leagues reviving baseball in the inner cities. If you wouldn't mind just letting the fans know what that's all about briefly.
Our Baseball Town Charities it's a charity that was designed to help kids with mental and physical disabilities, to give them a chance to come out and play baseball. At the Relevant Sports Complex just up Route 12, about 5 minutes from the stadium, we built a brand new dream field. It's sponsored by Savage 61, and we actually had the unveiling back in April, and it was really special because so many kids with physical disabilities came out and got a chance to play the game of baseball. And leagues have been set up now. We have a fall league and a spring league, and we're really excited about that. So for anybody listening, if you know children that have any physical types of disabilities, that want to come out and enjoy the game, this is a great opportunity for them to come out and be a part of this great game. Tanya Petrunik is our executive director of Baseball Town Charities, and she helps run the Dream League. And you can certainly give her an email at tpetrunik@fightins.com. And and you mentioned about Gordon Hudak Stadium in downtown Reading, helping giving kids a chance with that have had some difficulties in their life, giving them a chance to go out and enjoy the game of baseball. So as much as we're here to entertain here at First Energy Stadium, our job is to try to reach out to the community and give and give people an opportunity to enjoy baseball in many different ways. So that's what Baseball Town Charities is all about, and that's what we've done with Gordon Hudak Stadium in downtown Reading. So we're hoping that there could be more great initiatives as the years go on.
Reading Phillies, unparalleled stadium experience, and just amazing tradition, amazing what they do for the community. Michael Ventola, play-by-play voice of the Reading Phillies. You can reach him at Venting Daily on Twitter. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate Michael Ventola for the time. That was a treat. Really insightful stuff there by the Reading Phillies AA broadcaster. Reading, oh my gosh. Where to begin? The people, like you said, are just amazing. Everybody genuinely wants to be there. The product the Phillies put on the field is incredible. Something that really stuck out to me is the amount of promotions they have going on and in-game sponsors. There's always something happening at that stadium. You walk, it's a 360 concourse. Just kidding. No, it's not. It's not a 360 concourse. But you go into the outfield parts, and there are equally as many concession stands in the outfield as there are in the infield. And I tried the infamous Churger that he was talking about, and it was very good. I'm a fan. I'd get it again. They didn't have what I heard. They had buffalo chicken stuffed soft pretzels, and good Lord. Excuse me, but good Lord, do I want one of those. They were actually closed the night I was there. Every time I go, they have some mega promotion going on, so I don't get necessarily the traditional experience. I will, of course, go back and try to find that. I went on Gluttony Night, so for as I talked about on last episode, you just go back to the last episode, listen to the Notorious B.O.B. interview. You'll get the full picture there, where you basically pay $10-11 and get so many different types of food, all you can eat. But it's the beautiful thing about Reading. I mean, it's seriously, if you're out in the eastern United States and you're like, I want to go to a ballpark, and you don't necessarily want to go to a major league stadium, well, Reading's the place. There's literally Dunkin' Donuts Park in Hartford is beautiful too, but they don't have the tradition and the loyalty and the long-standing history that Reading is. Reading is I'm pretty sure the longest affiliation of any minor league team in all of minor league baseball. Okay, they've been around a long time. I mean, you see the history on the walls there. Some of the names you wouldn't ever believe actually went through Reading. It's incredible, and the stadium has history all throughout. Just posted everywhere. I mean, it's a sight to behold. I'm going to try my best to try to post that online and create an experience for you to get a taste of what Reading's like, but you seriously just have to go for yourself and take that in. But let's talk a little bit about the Reading Phillies. I'm a big fan of Zach Green and Ranger Suarez, as I said in the interview. Suarez, before I get to Green, he's got 68 innings pitched. He's got a 49% ground ball rate. He's got a 21.3 infield fly ball rate, which means he induces pop-ups. More than one out of every 5 balls he gives up, fly balls he gives up is a pop-up. It's really impressive. He's got a mid-10s home run for fly ball rate, which means he only gives up 1 home run every roughly 20 fly balls. I mean, get this, he's given up only 2 home runs in 68 AA innings. No, not too shabby. They never really necessarily get a good read on guys in the minors because everybody operates differently. Like some guys are going to work on stuff 100% of the time. Some guys are going to try to act like they wouldn't be in the majors the whole time. Some guys are just actively trying to work on that one thing, and it throws off the whole scouting report. So you never really know what to expect, but those are some really nice peripherals for Suarez. Zach Green went 3 for 3 off Kyle McGowan, who I talk about a lot on this show. Really talented arm. Zach Green's really impressive because he's got some youth to him. He plays some third base, and he's also really mature at the same time. I believe he's 25, or 24 actually. I'm gonna get you that real fast. But what I like about Green is that he just hits it where it's pitched. Okay. He doesn't try to do too much. He's 24. And he's budding into actually a very special hitter. The Phillies could possibly use him at the position third base in the future. You never know. But I want to go back to what to expect at the major league level versus the minor league level. Austin Meadows, Pittsburgh Pirate, prospect now in the majors, all of a sudden is put on a power clinic. And I watched him in the minors, and I'm like, he's got a good swing. But he never really hit for power in the minors, and I wondered what was up. Now it comes to the majors, starts mashing. So I'm curious, maybe I could speak with him, get a quote or something, and see what has clicked for him now that he's moved to the majors, because it's pretty substantial, the power spike he's experienced. Maybe it's luck. I'm not sure it is. I haven't, there's no way for me to know that right now. It's very early in his career, but you never know. A couple more things to point out about First Energy Stadium. It was built, as Mike said, as a memorial for veterans. They make sure veterans are recognized before every game. A lot of veterans from Berks County went and served. So it's just a really beautiful place for a variety of reasons, aforementioned reasons. It's dare I say, it's a tradition unlike any other. But really, get on out there. Special times. Mike said the fries are outstanding. They're shoestrings. They're pretty good. But I'm more of a steak fry guy, and just a heads up, I think if you like steak fries, head on out to Harrisburg. They have amazing fries. Everybody's got different tastes and whatnot. Anyway, so let's move on here to a segment I like to call Bringing the Lumber, where I will talk about upcoming all-star hitters in the National League.
Here's another hit, Debbie Bonds.
It's out of here! Ventola has done it! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
So the All-Star game is coming up very soon, and I figured with in lieu of, there's been a trade even. Kelvin Herrera moved to the Nationals. For a bunch of prospects. I talked about that on my Twitter. Follow me at HotStoveCastMC for more baseball-related updates and such. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit of All-Stars today. Now, obviously, the fans still vote for pitchers, so I brought up let's do a update on the National League. So, catcher, Buster Posey leads the voting there. No surprise. I think he's deserving. If you wanted to say, Francisco, the voting is as follows. It's Posey, Contreras, Suzuki, Cervelli, Molina. Posey's got a lead. It's not super comfortable. I think Suzuki's got 223,000. Contreras is 260,000. Posey is 281. If you wanted to say Cervelli was more deserving of the first place than Posey, I get it. But at the same time, I mean, the Giants are 3.5 or 4 games out of first right now, which is frankly shocking when you look at the way that team was playing or the way that team was going to the season. I frankly don't think there's another player in Major League Baseball that means more to their team than Buster Posey means to the Giants. So, I have no qualms with him getting all the votes there. Moving on to first base, Freddie Freeman, 633,000 votes. I mean, no surprise there. I mean, he's an absolute tank. But I must say, my boy, Jesus Aguilar, he's not on the ballot because he wasn't, he moved on late, but he should absolutely be voted in. He is killing the baseball. I'm going to talk more about him next week on a segment I like to call Smart Baseball. Oop, there's your teaser. Smart Baseball is coming up later in the show. So Jesus Aguilar needs to be there. Brandon Belt should be in second. He's not. Anthony Rizzo's there. Brandon Belt's having an amazing year. Typically with first base corner positions, there's so much talent. Some guys usually just don't make it. I have a bad feeling that Aguilar might be the guy to not get credit there. Moving on to second base, Ozzie Albies. He's got 400,000 votes. Had a ridiculously hot start to the season. It's cooled off a little bit. But I must say Scooter Gennett is killing it. And I think he's more deserving of that first place votes, those first place votes. He's not really getting them right now. Listen to this guy's stats. Gennett is hitting .335. He's got a .370 on base, .537 slugging, 13 homers, and 294 plate appearances. Absolutely killing it. It is the best season of his career. So I think Albies had a great year, but Gennett has been better. Gennett's been one of the best players. The Reds have had 3 guys. I mean, Vado's been down, but Suarez, I'll get to Suarez next, actually. The third base category, Nolan Arenado leads, no surprise. Next is Next two are kind of surprising to an extent. Chris Bryant not having a great year, but he's got 300,000 behind Arenado's 530,000 votes. Camargo has 152,000. Eugenio Suarez has 87,659. That's a disgrace, okay? People, go out and vote for Eugenio Suarez. He's got 55 fewer plate appearances than Nolan Arenado and has 1 fewer home run, and he doesn't even play at Coors Field. Folks, get on out there and vote for Eugenio. He absolutely deserves it. Moving on to shortstop, Brandon Crawford, 466,000 votes. Great for him. Finally blossoming into the prolific hitter that people thought he would be, myself included. What's awesome about him is that this season he's hitting .297 against lefties, .325 against righties. If you can hit the same hand, 300, you're going to have a place on the team. I think that's pretty well established because that basically means you're going to hit over 300. It's literally one guy out of 100 that hits better versus the own hand than the other hand. So yeah, again, I'm sticking to that point. Moving on to the outfield here, Bryce Harper leads the way, having a down year so far. But I think, if Bryce Harper actually sticks to what he's doing, I think he'd have a career year if he stays healthy. He's been very unlucky with batting average of balls of play. He's like 100 points below where he should be, which is huge. It's an enormous difference. I've been trying to acquire him in my fantasy league for some time now, actually. Second is Nick Markakis at 494,000 votes, right behind Harper. So good for Braves fans, by the way. They're showing up. The fact that Camargo is third place in third base category is pretty substantial. Obviously, Albies is in first. Kurt Suzuki's in third. The Marlins fans are really, Braves fans are really showing up. Markakis deserves it. He's had a long career. I hope he gets in. He's absolutely raking. He's hitting like 340, 333. Charlie Blackmon, fourth place. Matt Kemp, third place. Ronald Acuna hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, he burst on the scene, then he kind of fizzled out. He's in fifth. Kyle Schwarber in sixth. Oh, by the way, Ender Inciarte, sixth. Man, the Braves, goodness. Who's stuffing the Braves ballots? I mean, seriously, goodness. No, I'm just kidding, of course. The fans are absolutely crushing it over there. Ben Zobrist at 8. Odubel Herrera at 9. Jason Hayward, former Brave, at 10. Christian Yelich at 11. Corey Dickerson of the Pirates, I think, is going to have a bounce back toward the end of the season. He's a worthy candidate, having a really great season. Pollock at 13. Adams at 14, having a sensational year. Lorenzo Cain improving. Is at 15, rounding out the top 15, and two names, the fact that Brandon Nimmo is not listed is preposterous. He should start. He's killing it. He's absolutely crushing baseballs. Honorable mention: Rhys Hoskins and David Peralta need more attention in this category. You can even go for Michael Conforto, who is having a bit of a resurgence himself. Watch out for Conforto. He will come back. I assure you that. Speaking of optimism, let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. I've been talking about them a lot this episode. Figure I'll talk about them a little bit more. They're 39 and 33, and yet they received so much shrapnel in the city of Philadelphia. It's uncanny. It's mind-boggling. And trust me, I work in this market. I'm a play-by-play broadcaster for Temple. I manage the website for the Philadelphia Sports Writers Association. I work in Philadelphia. I listen, I see it, I read it, I hear it every single day. And it's wow. It's crazy. I mean, long story short, the Phillies have made a pretty substantial transition to analytics this season, and the market really wasn't ready for it. Now, I say that knowing full well that markets like Seattle, for instance, have been talking about BABIP and W runs created plus, and such other stats in the broadcast for nearly half a decade. This stuff is new to the city, and people fear what they don't know, and you're seeing a lot of that transpire now. But I happen to think the Phillies are doing a sensational job, and there's room for optimism, and here's why. So you're at the ballpark making a big adjustment, right? And you basically apply that to the entire team. So everybody on the Phillies right now is essentially going through an adjustment phase, okay? when you go through that adjustment phase, you're going to have ups and downs, and you're primarily going to have downs because you need to fight through those downs to learn how to turn more of those downs into ups going forward. And the whole team is kind of just fighting through that right now. I'll get into that a little bit later, very soon rather. But I want to emphasize a few things before I get to that. The starting pitching has been way above average. I think Jake Arrieta is pitching over his head just a little bit, with all due respect. But guys like Aaron Nola he's been sensational. Nick Pivetta has also been sensational. Nick Pivetta can be a 2-starter on his best day. Vince Velasquez has been a pleasant surprise. And even Zach Eflin he's been killing it of late. So the starting pitching has been far from a problem. There's a new emphasis on on-base percentage in Philadelphia. They lead the majors in walks at 10.3%, which is something I never, ever would have imagined, having been tied into following analytics for so long and watching what the Phillies have done. But they seriously have undergone a serious culture change, and it's for the best right now. The next closest team is at 9.9%. I believe it's the Cubs or the Dodgers or the Astros. It's one of those three. But it's incredible the Phillies are leading that category. I'd say it's shocking. There are a couple cons. I talked about Arrieta earlier. I think the game planning is actually relatively not where it needs to be. The pitchers and catchers aren't on the same page as it pertains to matchups. There was a game where I believe it was Adam Morgan threw a fastball to Jason Hayward with the bases loaded in Chicago when the Phillies were up 1 in the 9th with 1 out to go, and he hit a walk-off grand slam. Jason Hayward's only positive rating against any pitch was against fastballs. Could have thrown him a curveball or a slider, but they opted not to. Stuff like that. I think that's something, if you're a Phillies fan, you watch the games closely, I think that's something you really need to be watching for. Before I get to Tommy Hunter in a segment I like to call Smart Baseball, I heard today reports that Beltre is in play. Adrian Beltre is potentially going to be a Philly via trade. I think it's a great move. It would be a move that would help mentor a young team. It's a position of need. They kind of need right-handed bats. He'd fit in Philly. He's a grinder, man. He'd fit in Philly. I think it'd be a great move all around. So I hope they do that. And but without further ado, I'm introducing a new segment called Smart Baseball. It pretty much speaks for itself.
There are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us.
Take that for data.
Yeah, even I'll admit that might be a little OTP, but Johann Sebastian Bach is the greatest artist of all time. Don't at me. Anyway, Tommy Hunter. Wow, he's been the main focus of so much. He's like the polarizing guy now. But you got to understand, he's signed for 2 years, $18 million for the Phillies. Reliever, you really don't see that kind of money shelled out for a reliever. The Phillies were supremely confident, and the way he's been pitching, I don't blame him. And I'm going to follow up that by saying he has a 4.79 ERA. But people have been talking about XFIP in this town for the first time since I can remember, and Tommy Hunter has a higher XFIP. By the way, Google XFIP. It's too complicated for me to explain it, but basically it's a predictive stat that weighs home runs, and it weighs quality of hits, it weighs park factors, and it just weighs certain stuff to make predictive outcomes about players. It's a widely respected stat in the sabermetric community. It really is, and Google it so you get a better understanding, but the objective is to have a low XFIP because the XFIP is a predictive stat, and Hunter is a 2.74 XFIP compared to his 4.79 ERA, and his XFIP is lower than that of Corey Knebel, Craig Kimbrell, Sean Doolittle, Ken Giles, Brad Boxberger, and Luke Gregerson, to name a few. So I'm believing in Tommy Hunter. He's got some pretty damn good peripherals going on here. Batting average on balls in play, pretty self-explanatory. It's a measure of luck. His currently is 373. He has a 285 career, including a pretty great 259 last year. He's pretty much pitching the way he was last year. He's got an 11.5% swing strike percentage. It swings and misses. And he has a career high 51% ground ball rate. That's more than 7 points better than it was last year. And he's also got a career low 1.31 walk rate. And his 9.15 K rate is pretty fantastic. It's not the 9.82 he was last year, but he's lowered his walks from 2.15 to 1.31. So that's a pretty sensational step. Ground balls are important. They don't always matter, though. Ask guys like Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole. They have high fly ball rates, and they're pitching pretty damn well. But ground balls are majorly impactful for a pitcher, as you might imagine. Let's talk about the Phillies team stats a little bit as it pertains to the hitters. Carlos Santana and Aaron Halter are having some bad luck at the plate. Santana has we talked about batting average on balls in play. Santana has a 222 BABIP. He averages 267. Theoretically, his average and on base should be about 45 points higher. And just based on that side alone. Now, BABIP isn't an end-all be-all. Is something I'll get into this in a minute. But it's worth noting he has a career best 16.9 walk rate. Same thing with Altair. Has a 13.8 walk rate. His BABIP is 245, and his career is 298. So his average, should be about 53 points higher per that data. But again, it's all dependent on some stuff. I'm going to call these things the baseline of analytics. Now, I'm getting really technical here and very deep very quickly, but you kind of have to set the scene here for this segment. These are baselines, okay? Now, every player is different. You have people are. I'll stick to the baseline. So everybody has an approach, right? And the theory is, if you maintain that approach, you should technically hit the same throughout. Okay, it's like mass, right? Mass is the same unless it's altered or something is done to it, right? So if you have the same approach, you're going to produce the same results. That's pretty consistent. So I can provide examples. I will in the future. Health is a strong dependent of your outcomes. Health, obviously, if you're unhealthy, you're more likely to alter your approaches to compensate for your health and your part of your body that's hurt. So your approach is going to change. Everything's going to change. Your age, age and strength are also a factor. Strength is definitely a huge factor. Excuse me. Goodness, my allergies. So age is a factor. And strength. You got some secondary factors like, rare emotional factors. You got weather, you got ballpark dimensions, but those baseline ones I mentioned earlier, approach, health, age, and strength, those are things that teams look at, and you can measure strength by measuring how far a guy hits a ball. It's via StatCast, how hard a guy hits a ball via exit velocity. It measures quality of contact too, exit velocity. There's just so much that goes into this, and I don't have nearly enough time to talk about it. I'm running long on this episode as it is, but I'm thrilled to be talking about it with you because that means, at least in Philadelphia anyway, that there's a new wave of conversation that's going to happen, and I think it's long overdue. And based on what I'm seeing out of the Phillies, I think the fans are going to be very pleasantly surprised as to what happens this season. I'm not going to make any bold predictions like my friends and colleagues know that I like to do just yet, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and that says a lot. So moving on here to a segment that's kind of similar. I want to. This is kind of an experimental episode of sorts. I want to talk some fantasy baseball, just briefly. more of like a buy and sell variety. So I created a segment called the Fantasy Minute.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Victory!
Yep, Fantasy Minute is the segment that'll help you win your fantasy league. Come on out and play. I love fantasy baseball. I play it every year. I'm in multiple leagues. So yeah, let's jump into it. Domingo Germán, okay, Yankees starting pitcher. Oh no, Yankees pitcher run away. They pitch in that sandbox of a ballpark. Well, not quite Domingo Germán. Yes, he's got a 4.77 ERA, but we talked about earlier, 3.52 xFIP means he could have a 3.5 ERA in the works. He throws 95 plus. He has a staggering 16.8 swinging strike rate. Now, some of that might just be adjusting to or him taking the league by storm, being new. I think a lot of that is actually talent. He only throws a fastball 27% of the time, so he's working in sinker, curveball, changeup as well. So let's talk about breaking pitches for a second. You heard about the launch angle revolution. Now, Eno Saris writes fantastic pieces for The Athletic. I've read him a long time with Fangraphs. Talks about a lot of analytics. And highly recommend it if you want to read about analytics. It's a great way to get up to speed. Go read, He recently wrote, I can't remember if it was for The Athletic or for Fangraphs. And by the way, go to Fangraphs also. Fangraphs is a sensational site. But he basically said the best way to prevent lift on a baseball is to throw pitches that break versus pitches that go horizontal, like two-seamers or cutters. And it makes sense because the barrel travels through the zone horizontally, right? It doesn't travel through the zone vertically. If it does, you're golfing, and golfers don't last in the big leagues. So it makes a lot of sense. So a guy like Germán throwing sinkers, curveballs, changeups, that just works for his profile. Just a quick note on me. I throw a cutter in softball. Yes, whatever in softball. But I'll tell you what, if I make a mistake with a cutter, Eno's absolutely right. If I leave that cutter on the inside part of the plate over the plate to a right-hander, they're going to smack it. Even if they miss it, the barrel's going to hit it. Same thing to a lefty. If I try to pitch outside with the cutter and I miss over the plate, they're going to smack it. So it makes perfect sense, actually. So Domingo Germán, get him. Andrew Suarez, similar reasons to Germán, 4.7 ERA, 3.28 xFIP. He's got a 38 plus ground ball rate. He walks very few people at 1.82. He strikes out 8.6 per 9. He's got 5 different pitches, okay? The only difference between him and Germán really is a slider, which coincidentally, Sarah says in his piece that the slider is the best pitch for preventing launch angle because obviously the slider is, I'm paraphrasing here, but the slider is comes in looking like a fastball and then it basically breaks off like a sinker. Whereas, sinkers have been notorious for getting hit for homers for many years. But slider, man, I can't hit a slider. I don't know, it's, but yeah, again, I listen to the guy. He knows what he's talking about. So I'd mentioned him earlier in the episode, Michael Conforto. He had a shoulder capsule repair very, very recently. I think like 8 months ago, maybe even sooner. But he's clicking now. He's swinging and missing less than last year, which is a huge positive for the guy. I think he's only 25 years old. He's got plenty of room to grow. If he's not 25, he's 26. He's no older than that. He's got bad BIP woes, stat I mentioned earlier. Stuff that indefinitely, or rather definitely projects positive for future performance. So, mentioned Jesus Aguilar. Go get him immediately. Drop everything you're doing. Go get him. He's literally, I mentioned this, I'll say it again. He's becoming one of my favorite hitters, period. He's so dang good. He's going to be featured in Smart Baseball next week. He's a complete package of hitting for power, hitting for average, and just hitting intelligently. And it's amazing. The Brewers got this guy for like league minimum or whatever, $575,000 is. It might be league minimum. I don't know. But it's, you compare that to a guy like Carlos Santana getting 3 years, $60 million and performing less than Aguilar. It's wow. Yeah, I mean, the Brewers are really doing some special things. I think the Brewers, one of their key front office personnel, is a former member of the Astros, so that speaks volumes. Rounding out Fantasy Minute is John Gray. Looks can be deceiving, folks. He's got a 3.03 xFIP compared to a 5.89 ERA, okay? Now, oh gosh, he pitches in Coors. Oh no, bail. Well, hold the phone. He's got a 13.1% swing strike rate. His left on base percentage, which is a very important stat, is 61.2% compared to 67.6% in his career. He had a 74.8% rate last year. Lots of room to improve. Left on base percentage is important because it measures how many of your runners you strand. If you have a career rate of 75% and you're only stranding 60%, the odds are, barring you just losing velocity, which falls under the strength category, or you making a negative mechanical adjustment, odds are you're unlucky. So in this case, it appears John Gray is unlucky. So I would buy. So yeah, that was a lot of long-winded fantasy and sabermetric gobbledygook. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a lot, and I'm going to dial it back next episode probably. Just a little bit, but I'm definitely going to throw some in here because I know people want fantasy. I do really like what I'm doing with the show so far, and the people are responding to. I'm really thankful that you guys are listening. Ideally, what I just did is pretty nerdy, frankly, and I like to keep it lighter, entertaining, and informative. So I'm going to find that happy medium where people really, they get the most out of listening to this program. This is very much an experimental phase. It's just the 4th episode. And thank you so much for listening. This is the Hot Stove Cast. Next week, I've got some Gabe Kapler audio that will have you in tears, okay? He is so quotable. You have to hear it, okay? You will be in tears, I promise. No one has heard this before. Nobody. Not a soul. I'll talk all-star hitters in the American League, and of course I'll have another player interview coming your way. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my show on iTunes, Hot Stove Cast, obviously. It's greatly appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter at HotStoveCastMC, Hot Stove Cast on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week.
You're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna crap thunder.